So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Quirk, and I will be your captain today. So, we have a relatively short agenda and very little PowerPoint. We'll mostly be looking at some demos of things today. But we do have a giveaway, which we'll be running at the end of this presentation. So, if you want to steal a march on that now and register, then you can scan this QR code on the screen while I run through the agenda. But we'll also have an opportunity to do this, of course, at the end as well. So there's no great urgency. So our intention today is to introduce you all to Patch Insights. It's a version of Advanced Insights which we have released relatively recently, and is available to all of our existing Configuration Manager customer base. We haven't really done any outbound marketing about it as yet, so this is the first time that quite a lot of people will have heard about that. So we're going to spend some time with a run round its features and a demonstration of that tool. Then we also wanted to take the opportunity to showcase the new functionality that we've released in version 2 of Advanced Insights. So we shipped version 1 of Advanced Insights in May of last year, and since then have released several updates to it, but the version 2 release was a big one. So we've got some things that are worthy of discussing there. And then because we're all here, we figured that we will also show you just a couple of little things that we have coming in the next release of Advanced Insights, which will be version 2.2 sometime in the next few weeks, just so that you've all got something shiny to have a look at, even if you're on the latest release of Advanced Insights. So that's our agenda, and the first thing we're going to do is have a look around our Patch Insights product. So Patch Insights is a tool that we use for reporting against software updates predominantly, and this is something that's available today for no additional cost to all of our existing Configuration Manager customers. So if you have an Enterprise Patch or an Enterprise Plus subscription, then you can have Patch Insights today. You download it from our website, you install it, activate it with your same license key as you use in the Patch My PC publisher, and it will just work. So a few things just to point out with that: where you see Advanced Insights and Patch Insights, they are interchangeable as far as the base platform is concerned and the installer. So when you run the installation, you're installing Insights, and then depending on your license key, you either have Advanced Insights or you have Patch Insights. So it's a single platform, and the functionality that is surfaced is just determined by the license key that you have. The difference between the two is that Advanced Insights covers the full Configuration Manager data set and some external data sets in addition to that, around the likes of warranty and threat analytics and those kinds of things, whereas Patch Insights is focused predominantly on software updates, and in particular showing our customers the commitment that we have to you to provide you with a catalog which gives you functionality to deploy updates. And we want you to have a reporting platform that enables you to demonstrate that you are achieving the things that we say that we want to help you to achieve around the deployment of not just our catalog, but also the Microsoft update stack and any other catalogs you might have in your environment. And so we want that to be a platform which is high performing and gives you a good experience. And one of the things I just wanted to quickly run through was that you'll probably be more familiar with the kind of experience that you get when you're working with non-Patch Insights and non-Advanced Insights kind of platforms. So this is the sort of thing that we're accustomed to today. So one of the things that Patch Insights is designed to do is to replace our SSRS reports. So any of you that have got SQL reporting services deployed in your environment today for your reporting against Microsoft updates, and in particular Patch My PC updates, will be probably familiar with this stuff. our PMPC reports are actually pretty good compared to the native functionality that you get in SQL reporting services. But I won't labour the point, but if I click to refresh this, then I'm sure that a lot of you will be very familiar with this experience where we could now sit here for a minute or more and still not seeing results. And this is in a very small environment that I've got set up here, which has only got about 70 devices in it. And so one of the things that we want to make sure that we're able to provide with Advanced Insights and with Patch Insights is that you have a much better experience when it comes to the functionality provided by the reporting and the usability of that environment, but also to make sure that it is high performing. And so, without further ado, I will hand you over to Kieran, who is going to give us a run round the Patch Insights interface.
Thanks for that, Job. I'll give you a quick demo of Patch Insights. I'll just move on to this screen here. So this is the home screen which you're presented with Patch Insights. Get this right. And what we can see here, on the home screen, we're showing you is some information which is in your configuration manager database. We can see what version it's running, and we're calling on like Microsoft data to show you how long is left in support of your config manager environment, when's the support date ending. If I want to see some more data of that site information, I can drill in further. I can see the site code, the site name, the version, the build number, the database and such. And also I can click on the side here and I can see which distribution points we have in the environment as well. Also on the next tab along, we can see how many devices we're managing. So these are devices which have the config manager client installed. And we can also see there's a difference here of devices because we may be doing an Active Directory discovery. So we can see devices which don't have the config manager client installed. If I want to see which devices we're managing, I can drill in further. I can see the devices that we're managing from here. I can see from the green and the red, the green being the devices which are currently online and the red being they're currently offline. If I want to export this chart data, I can click on the cog here and click on export, and that'll download it to a CSV file. Or I might want to make this chart data a bit bigger, and I can block this up a bit further up, and I can see all the other devices that we're managing here. On the next node along the side here, we can see our software updates, so our critical and security updates that are required to deploy. So these are updates which are synced in your software update point, but are not deployed to your devices, are scanning back to your SUP, and they're saying these updates are available, but they're not deployed. What are those updates? So we can see here from the stats here, we can see which updates are required, but they're not deployed. We can see how many devices are requiring this update. So if I want to see which are the 60 devices that are requiring it, I can click on this one update here, and I can see the metadata inside here. I could change the status here by clicking on the button here. I can see which devices are missing the update. If I wanted to, I can click on here. I can do a filter. I can type in missing from here, and this stat here will change to the 60. So now I can pull this chart data and I can list all the devices that are missing these updates, or I can actually export that information. If I want to see the content size of this update, if I'm thinking about distributing this, I can see all the different files that are in the software update as well. And then if there was any jobs in the distribution manager, I'll be able to see the jobs in here. So if there's any failed jobs, I'll be able to click in here. So I know if there's any calls to actions I need to go and do in my config manager console. Down at the bottom here, we can see the client deployment. So if imagine you've just done a config manager upgrade, we can see our different version of config manager clients that we have. We're currently up to date with all but a few devices here in this environment. If I want to see which devices, these 60 devices here are running this version of the config manager client, I can click on this little donut chart, and then I can see those devices from here. And again, you can export or you can filter. So if we already want to know about a certain version, we can do a quick search from the top here. If I want to view all the chart data, I can click on the cog from the outside of the donut chart, and I can view more information for me, a bit more granular. I might be more interested in just say the Lenovo devices, so I can just do a quick search of Lenovo, and then this stat chart data will filter from there. We're showing you some information on Windows OS servicing, so we can see which devices are expiring soon. So this is calling on from the data set from Microsoft, and the devices itself, and we can see which devices are in support and which ones are expired. Using the little properties button here, we can change this to see if we want to see different servicing channels that we have in the environment, or if we want to see which release versions we got. We can change these stats from here. If I want to see which is these devices that run 1809, I can click on this one device, one little part of the donut, and list that information again. Or again, I can view the whole chart data as well, and I can do some more filtering based on whatever information I want to go and see from here. And the same sort of information we can see with our Microsoft 365 app, so we can see which ones are supported and which are unsupported. If I want to see which release version of builds, we can change those toggles as well using the property button here on the side. If I'm more interested in, say, Lenovo devices, I can just filter the collection based on Lenovo's, and I can see this chart status changed here. Over here on the updates compliance scanning, what we can see here is we can see if devices are scanning back to your configuration manager environment in a healthy state. So have we got any WSA scan errors from the clients? Are they in progress? Will we show that information? It's very hard to monitor this from the console if devices are scanning in for new updates. Maybe someone's deployed a rogue group policy, which has told the devices to scan to a WSA server which is offline, or maybe types it in wrong sort of thing. You won't see that anywhere apart from on the client side. So we can see the information here where devices are showing you their update compliance scanning, so whether in progress or failed or completed. And down here at the bottom, we're showing you the update computer compliance. Our least compliant devices are here, and our least compliant updates as well. If I wanted to change one of the filters, change the filtering for all the collections in the environment, so I can do a top level collection filter. So let's say if I just want to look for Lenovo devices itself, and just change this, and this will be a client site-wide change. So all these limiting collections at the bottom here are all changed here. Just moving on to the software updates node on the dashboard. So what we can see on this home dashboard, we'll be able to see our software update point at the top here. Has it synchronized, or is it in progress? Has it errored? If I want to see any more information, so let's say we had any downstream software update points, we'll be able to see which catalog version they're on. Has it synchronized correctly? And if there was any error codes on the last sync and the last time it synced. So it's quite handy for a quick view of a troubleshooting point of view from the top level of the SUP. Same information we see in here. We can see our updates required for deployment. This has changed because I changed the limiting collection to the Lenovo devices. And we can see our update compliance for our previous months, and we can drill further back to like February or March, January as well, sorry. If I want to go and see why we was only 81, we are 81% compliant for February, I can drill in further, and then I can go and see which devices, which updates are missing on which devices. So it's required like 180 devices, this update for that month. And I can see how we're doing for our compliance for this month as well. So we're at 70% based on our Lenovo devices. And we can see our update compliance scanning, computer compliance, least compliant devices, and our least compliant updates. If you want to change that filter again, you can change this drop down so you can see more information from here. So we can see list all the devices, and the same for our update compliance scanning. Moving over to our updates node. So this is showing you all our critical and security updates which are in our environment which are not expired. So we can see, you click all over the bubble, it explains where it is. It says this portal is displaying all software updates and compliance data, including superseded updates. So in here we can see all our compliance based on this one update, and for our Microsoft and Patch My PC updates, limited on the collection which we set on the top, and it's showing us the last 90 days. If we was to load all the chart data, it will take ages. If you've got any other external catalogs in there, say like any other vendors like Lenovo or Dell or HP, the catalog would be really big sort of thing. So we can change that by changing this drop down here. We can list this for third party vendors from here. What we can show you here is a software update deployed? So is it a part of a software update group? Is it superseded? Is it not unknown, as in has the device not scanned against it? And how many devices are required, so we can see our compliance against that one update. If I want to do a search for a particular KB or a particular software update, I can do a quick search on top. So if I was interested in, say, Google Chrome, I can search for Google Chrome and I can see which updates are deployed. So I can see, yes, it is deployed, which version of the update is, what article I did. This is from the PatchMyPC catalog. If I want to go and see the metadata inside there, I can go and load that information there. I can see all the metadata there, how many devices it's present on, flip over, and I can go and see which ones that it's missing on as well. If I want to go see the content again, I can see the content size, which software update group is it a part of. It may be part of multiple one. This is just part of our PatchMyPC third-party software update group. And is there any deployments behind there? What we can see from the deployments is which collections are they deployed to, when they are started, when is it required by, so then we can see our deadline, is it available, what's the user-based notification, and is it visible, sort of thing, and are we suppressing any reboots? And just moving over to our software update groups. So we can see all our software update groups, which are in your config manager environment. We can then go and see what is our compliance on that software update group based on our collection. We can drill in further, like we've just seen from the individual software update we saw. We can see which are compliant. We can go and see what members are of that software update group itself. So it's helps listing a report. So we can then expand this list because it's 23 in there. So we can see all the updates that are in this software update group. So it might be handy for a monthly report. If you run your ADRs, you can send reports like these are the new updates in this software update group. Or then again, you can export that information. And then we can see again what deployments are against that software update group as well. And over here, you can see the compliance of the software update group as well. And then moving on to the updates deployments. So we can see the deployment completed based on each software update group. So we can see we have multiple software updates deployments for SUGs. So let's drill in further here. So we can see here which devices are targeted, and we can go and see which ones are compliant, which ones are the performance state, and we can actually see this one device is actually still downloading the updates. If the status message from the device is coming back saying it's pending a reboot, we'll be able to show that information in here as well. And then under Windows OS, so if you're syncing the updates category in your software update point for feature upgrades, we'll show you all those different versions in here. So if in your software update point synchronization, we'll see the compliance against those devices, and you'll be able to drill in it further again, be able to see content size, the general metadata, the software update groups it's part of, and the deployments that's there behind it as well. And then you've got the computer status. So this is like an overall of all updates which are either unknown by the device or required by devices. So this is like a overview of all the updates and all the devices, things from in here. So you'll be able to drill in further from here. You can create custom roles. So let's say if you want to just create the home dashboard for, say, a service desk area just off the home page, you can create a custom role for them. Or if you wanted to, you can have a user-based AD authentication as well, or we can do Azure AD integration as well. I think at that point, I'm going to hand it back to John for
before you do, KM. Can you just click on an individual resource somewhere? Just click on one of the computers. There's just a question here about machine-specific view that while you're there.
Yeah.
So when you click on an individual computer in the interface, you get this view which shows you high-level metadata about the machine. So its make, model, whose it is, that kind of thing. And then the updates tab in this view will show you all of the updates which are required, installed, or unknown on this machine and what its overall compliance is.
Yeah, so we can see here required, installed updates, any unknown updates, any feature upgrades which are deployed to the device, and if there was any Office 365 updates to the device as well.
It's actually quite data dense, this view, because it'll also show you which software update point it scanned against, what the catalog version it used was. So you'll be able to see whether, you know, if you're missing missing status because the device hasn't scanned for a while, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's actually a really kind of useful interface. Okay, thanks very much, Kieran. So I will go back to my screen here in a moment, and I think we'll just take a second to run through some questions that have come in that I think might be relevant there. So there were a few different bits and pieces about authentication. So you can authenticate to both Patch Insights and Advanced Insights in exactly the same way. So you can just create user accounts in it. So you could create yourself a user called Kieran with a password and log in, and that would just work. But more commonly, you can also use Active Directory for your authentication methodology. And if you use Active Directory, you can associate AD groups to Advanced Insights and Patch Insight roles. So anyone in the help desk group might only get access to the top level home dashboard, for example. And you can also use Azure Active Directory in a similar way. So you can use Azure Active Directory as your authentication mechanism, and then that'll grant you access to Advanced Insights and Patch Insights in the same way. So yeah, so hopefully that helps with that. And there were some questions about what an update being required means, or what red status means, and those kinds of things. This is basically exactly the same. We use exactly the same terminology as Configuration Manager uses natively. So if a device has not reported that it is compliant, as in I have done a software update scan and do not need that update, or I've done a software update scan, identified that I do need an update, installed the update. If it's not those two statuses, then basically it is classed as being uncompliant by Configuration Manager standard. So until the device has reported that it is compliant, then it is considered to be uncompliant. And we talk about this a lot here, but that's the model that we're going with. There was a question as well about a report that provides the percentage of devices that are non-compliant versus the percentage of devices which are. So yeah, we absolutely have that. And if I just switch over to this view here and go back into the interface that Kieran was showing. I hate the Teams menu. There we go. So this is Patch Insights that Kieran was just showing us. And in this interface, if you wanted to see a view of, for example, which machines require a specific update. So I think it's a report that would provide a percentage of devices non-compliant, meaning what percentage of devices are missing one or more patches. So yeah, so you can see that in a variety of different ways. I mean, probably the most obvious thing to do would be to use software update groups. So if you use the software update group to report on your software update compliance, so for example, this is our Windows 10 update group from February this year, then you can drill in and see specifically all the machines which are compliant against that individual group, and then there'll be a bunch of machines which are also not compliant that you can kind of view the status of as well. So there's a bunch of machines in this environment here which are unknown, so they haven't done any scanning against the catalogue yet to tell us whether they are compliant or not. There's a bunch of machines which are non-compliant, and then there's a bunch of machines which are compliant. And then there was a further question about whether you can tell machines which are pending a restart in order to bring themselves into compliance. And yes, that also is something that we have in here as well. So you can see here that for this deployment of this software update group, there's some machines which are compliant, some we don't know about yet, some which are actively downloading updates right now. And this particular machine here is pending a restart. So in the Patch Insights interface, you've got really rich data around these things. In the Advanced Insights interface, you could also go do something about it. So we have actions that you can take against these devices. So for example, a machine pending a restart, in Advanced Insights, we could push a restart to it from this interface. Okay, I'm going to just switch back to my PowerPoint for a moment, for it is the thing that tells me what I'm supposed to be doing. So there were some questions about how you can get hold of Patch Insights. So if you are licensed for this today, so if you're on Enterprise Patch or Enterprise Plus, then you can just go to this URL, patchmypc.com/advanced-insights/patch-insights, and just download it from there. There's a Get Started with Patch Insights link at the bottom of that page. You'll notice that it is the Advanced Insights download because they're the same code base, but you just install it exactly the same as you would with Advanced Insights. Its requirements are relatively lightweight. There was a question about infrastructure requirements. So it installs on a server in your environment. So this is on-premise software and hooks directly into Configuration Manager's SQL database. So it doesn't cache any data or anything like that. It's just reading it live from SQL in the same way as SQL reporting services would. You need an SSL certificate. It will create you a self-signed one in the installer if you don't have an SSL cert to hand. But we recommend that you use a proper SSL cert from your PKI, of course. You can install it on any server, really. It's quite common to install it on the SCCM box or on the same server as the publisher. If you've got the Patch My PC publisher on a server there, it sits quite happily with that and will read its license key from the publisher if you do so. But you can also install it on any standalone server as well. It just needs to be able to access the Config Manager SQL database. It no longer, so if you're familiar with previous versions of Advanced Insights, we used to require our own SQL database for storing configuration, and we don't have that requirement anymore. So as of version 2.1 of Advanced Insights, we have moved away from using SQL Server as our configuration database. We now use an SQLite database, which is in memory in essence. And so, so we no longer have that requirement. So it's quite lightweight in terms of adoption. Okay, I'm going to move on to the second topic that we wanted to cover off today, which was around what is new with Advanced Insights. So as I mentioned at the top of this, we shipped Advanced Insights 2 a few weeks ago, and it is quite packed with new things. So I'll just quickly talk through what some of these are, and then we'll drop into a demo for that as well. So the first thing I've already mentioned, we've made some quite major architectural changes to the framework. So we no longer need SQL Server, so this makes it a lot easier to adopt and means there's fewer licensing requirements. We also reduced the number of websites that we need. So Advanced Insights used to have 4 websites. It now just has its API and front-end websites. So, so again, a little bit less configuration. And one of the advantages that we gained with that infrastructure change was that you can now alias the site. So you can now provide a CNAME that you can run the website under rather than having to use the host name for the server. So that was quite a big request that we had on our user voice. We also significantly rewrote the installer for this release. So all of our custom actions, which were previously PowerShell, are now C#. So that makes it more robust, and it also makes it quicker and removes some restrictions that we had in constrained mode. We've added a new function in the latest release called Patch My PC Actions. So those of you who are familiar with Advanced Insights will know that you can push existing client actions to the clients in the environment to do things like machine policy refresh, force them to do a hardware inventory, a software update evaluation, those kinds of things. We have now extended that functionality with additional actions of our own, which are not native to the console. And so our first release of this gives you the ability to run a CCM cache repair, CCM cache empty. You can repair a client. You can install available updates on a client now. And we also have a notify function that we'll perhaps show you in a moment that enables you to send messages to the end user. On top of those new actions being added in, we've also brought in the ability to run these in bulk. So you can now execute actions against lists of devices. So if you want to restart a list of machines that are pending a reboot, you can do that now in Advanced Insights. And you can also run our Patch My PC actions against lists of devices as well. So they're no longer single machine actions that you can take. We've introduced update trend reporting, which I'll show you in a moment, but that basically is there to enable you to demonstrate what your adoption rate for any particular update looks like. So something which people have wanted in Configuration Manager for a long time and has never been available. So we've built that. Kieran demonstrated our site collection filter, which allows you to filter the entire interface against a particular collection. So someone had asked in chat about whether you can remove non-responsive devices or filter out servers or whatever. And so absolutely you can do that. You can do that with Config Manager's RBAC model, but you can also just do it in the Patch My PC Advanced Insights interface just by picking the relevant collection, and it'll just apply that to your session. Another big request that we had on User Voice was Windows 11 readiness dashboard. You're probably aware that Microsoft provide one in the Config Manager console, but its functionality is somewhat limited, and so we have built our own version of that as well. Those of you who are using Advanced Insights will know that we have inventory extensions that bring in additional hardware inventory classes for things that we are interested in that Config Manager doesn't have. We've rewritten that all to be custom WMI now, and also extended it to include some new classes, browser extensions in particular. So I'll show you some of those. Kieran demonstrated the view more data option, so people wanted to be able to see more rows in tables, so we have introduced that. You can also move those around now, so the modals that pop up in front of the dashboards are now draggable. We had some requests from customers, particularly in multi-tenant scenarios, to make the warranty dashboard also support RBAC. Obviously, the warranty data is something which we are creating by hooking into external providers, and so it didn't have an RBAC filter, so it does now. And then another thing which won't be all that apparent from the demo, but you will definitely find if you upgrade to version 2.1.1 in your environment, is that we have made enormous improvements to the SQL performance in this version, particularly for large scale. So with what we were finding was customers, once we got beyond 30 to 40,000 clients, it was starting to take several minutes to load some of the dashboards. And we've managed to bring that down into double-digit seconds again now in our early adopter clients. So we would expect that everyone on the call would find similar in performance improvements. So if you are a smaller customer, then you'll still see it quicker. But if you're bigger, then the change is really quite dramatic. Okay, so I will switch over. Sorry.
Let me. There's a few different questions going around about the difference between Patch Insights and Advanced Insights. Could you go over some of the highlights, top level, the main differences between them again?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I just switch into this interface here, then you'll see quite quickly, I think, what the primary difference is. So Patch Insights is this interface here, which has functionality to provide reporting on software updates. So we have this top level home dashboard, which gives us the visibility that Kieran talked us through in terms of some bits and pieces of information about your Config Manager environment, and in particular with a focus on software update compliance. So you can see here what your compliance is like against individual software updates, against individual computers, and against the likes of update groups and those kinds of things. Advanced Insights.
And that's only available. I'm sorry.
So please.
And that's only available for Enterprise Patch, Enterprise Plus, correct?
Well, I mean, technically also available to people who are on Enterprise Premium, but all of the functionality that's in that's in Patch Insights is also in Advanced Insights. So there would be no purpose to have Patch Insights if you are on Enterprise Premium. So if you are using Enterprise Patch or Enterprise Plus today, then you will have all of the functionality that Patch Insights provides, this stuff. If you are on Enterprise Premium, then you get a whole host of other functionality along with everything that we've currently discussed.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John.
Not at all. So primarily what I want to focus on now is what the functionality is with when we have new things that we've added into Advanced Insights version 2. But as there's obviously quite a few people who don't have familiarity with all of that stuff, I'll just show you some bits and pieces of the base functionality of Advanced Insights as well. So there are three things that we're trying to achieve with all of this kind of all of these solutions. And the first thing is that we want to provide you with a much better and more intuitive interface to your existing data set. So you've got a whole host of data stored inside a configuration manager, which to date you've only been able to report on using SQL Reporting Services reports, the vast majority of which are quite limited in their functionality and are not particularly intuitive or attractive. So we wanted to put a better skin on that data set to provide you with a more intuitive and more attractive interface for a variety of purposes. First of all, it's just good fun to do, but also we want to be able to give you an interface that you can give as an SCCM guy to your managers so that they can actually just help themselves to this data rather than requiring you to constantly massage data for them in Excel. So the first thing is that you should be able to use this even if you don't know your way around Configuration Manager. The second thing is that Configuration Manager natively is missing lots of properties that we might well be interested in. So one of the questions I saw in chat earlier was there was no software inventory reporting in Patch Insights, and that's correct. But we do have that in Advanced Insights. So, for example, if you wanted to see a list of all of the applications that are installed in the environment and a count of those and all those kinds of things, then we will show you that in Advanced Insights. Obviously, Configuration Manager knows this stuff natively. So Config Manager will show you a report, the Software 01A report in SSRS will give you details about all of the applications that are installed in the environment. So you can see here that we're going to get a count of devices that have got particular applications and the different versions and those kinds of things. So this is data that you currently have in Configuration Manager, no problem at all. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to extend this out. So we're also going to bring in additional data about applications which are installed in the user profile. And Configuration Manager natively doesn't do this. So this is one example of where we are extending the data set to bring in applications that have been installed on a per user basis. So for example, if you've got users who've got Zoom installed in their user profile and you want to keep an eye on that, you can see here that we've got some system installed versions, which have probably come from the Patch My PC catalog. And then we've also got 6 different versions installed on 360 devices that are installed in user profiles. And so if I wanted to find out which of these users who have this application in their user profiles, then I can drill through and start to get some detail about which profiles on which devices have got which versions of that application. So that's one quick example of where we are extending the Configuration Manager data set to bring in additional details that Config Manager natively doesn't know. We're going to do the same kind of thing for ODBC settings. So if you wanted to track where users might be using obsolete databases or just have connections to things that we're looking to decommission, then we're going to bring that data in here. And a new one that we've added recently as well is that we see problems in customer environments today where if users authenticate into their browser with their home account, it brings all of their browser extensions that they use on their home devices into their profile. And so keeping track of here in this environment, there's 14,000 different extensions. And so just keeping track of these and seeing which extensions are in use and which devices they're on is a useful thing to have. And so this is another example of where we're bringing in data that Microsoft don't provide. I'm just going to roam down here a little bit and show you some of the other bits and pieces of new stuff that we've added. I mentioned that Microsoft have a Windows 11 readiness dashboard, so you're probably familiar with that in the console. One of the things that you will have found is that if you click on their chart segments, they don't actually do anything. But what we wanted to provide you with here was visibility of what your landscape looks like in terms of the work you need to do in order to be able to adopt Windows 11. This is becoming much more pressing, and we talk to customers a lot about this today as Windows 10 starts to reach some kind of end-of-life status. And so what we can see in this environment is how many devices have already got Windows 11, how many we haven't monitored yet, so how many have not been assessed, how many in the environment we can upgrade straight away without having to do any kind of remediative action, and then how many currently can't be upgraded. And then we're also going to show you a verbose view of what the reasons for not being able to upgrade those are. So here you can see that this machine has got the wrong family of CPU. It hasn't got the right version of a TPM, and it also doesn't support secure boot. Now, it's possible that that could be something which I could remediate in software. I may be able to, the TPM thing, I mean, so I may be able to upgrade the TPM to support TPM2. But I'm not likely to be able to upgrade the CPU, and so basically there's no prospect of being able to use Windows 11 on that particular device. And you can see that there's basically a standard set of problems here where some devices have got issues with the size of the system drive, so that's something that I probably could do some work with. I might just need to free up some space or maybe repartition. And also some of these devices don't have enough RAM, and so maybe I could also remediate that. But again, they've still got the problem with the CPU family, so the chances are that all of these are a bust. One thing that I can do in here as well, which I can't do in the native config manager report, is I can pivot for the different versions of Windows 11 I might be interested in migrating to. So if I move from 22H2 to 23H2, then you'll see that there is actually a little bit of difference here in terms of what the support requirement is. So it might be that there's some interesting detail in here in terms of how I might proceed with my Windows 11 migration. So there's lots of data hiding inside of this, just depending on the kind of thing that you're interested in. And we'll show you a really verbose view of what that information is, what the make and model of the device is, when we last did an assessment of it, what its current operating system is, and the reason that it can't upgrade. And as we saw with all the other stuff that we were looking at previously, you can always filter these as well. So if I wanted to just show the secure boot devices, then I can filter that this way, and then when I go to export this data, it'll obey that filter that I've applied, so I only take out those particular machines. We saw the software updates dashboard and the updates groups and those kinds of things in the Patch Insights demo, and this is basically the same functionality. So there's no real difference between the functionality that you get here in Advanced Insights as far as software update reporting is concerned, but we do have some additional functions that you don't get in Patch Insights. So the first of them is another example of where we are bringing in additional data. So this is an example of where we are. Let me just switch to a different interface because this one is not complete. So if I just come here, so this is an example of where we're using a CNAME to reference the site as well. So what I can see in this demo environment is that under software updates, my Microsoft Updates page, what we're doing here is we're getting devices in the environment to do so if you're using WFB, this is a good example of where we're going to get data from Microsoft Update in order to bring information back into the Advanced Insights interface. Just to wait while the app pool warms up. So you can see here that we've done some scanning against Microsoft Update, and this is useful to us for two specific things. The first thing is that it's going to show us where there might be configuration items that I could add to my software update point config in order to patch them where I'm not doing currently. And the second thing is that it's going to show us where there are drivers that are published to the Microsoft Update catalog that I might be able to introduce into the environment to increase security or to increase stability. So you can see here that there's some BIOS updates, some monitor drivers, and various other network drivers and those kinds of things, which some of the machines in my environment are requesting. So I can see which devices actually want this specific update, but then I have to go and deploy those myself. But a new thing and something that we're really happy about in our team right now is this feature that we've introduced in Advanced Insights version 2.1. So this is our update trend. So what this is going to show us is for a particular update. So it's picked the one with the most recent deployment statistics. So this is the Audacity update from the Patch My PC catalog, but we have all of our other updates in here as well for Microsoft and non-Microsoft catalog info. But what this shows us is how long did it take me to first patch a machine from when this update was added to a catalog? So if you've got some SLAs in place or some KPI that you're aiming for, how rapidly you might begin to patch something, then we're going to show you at a glance how long it took you to actually get started on this. In this instance, we didn't do very well, and it took us nearly 70 days. And then we're going to show you from there, how long did it take you to get to 50%? So it took us 78 days in total, so an extra 9 days to get to 50%. So that's not too bad. And then how long did it take us to get to 90%? And have we hit 100? And if not, how long is it going to take us? And what I can view with this is a kind of really nice interactive display of what that looks like in terms of my daily adoption statistics, what that does to the sum total, and how that deployment trend has built out over time. We'll also show you on the right-hand side here, literally what has been going on. So you can see that there's a reason that I've got 2 machines that we still haven't actually installed, and they're actually both shown on this front page here. This one has failed to install it, and I can see that this little red notification here shows me that machine is currently offline. But this machine here has just failed to download that update. So it might be that I want to do something about that. And so we saw in the Patch Insights demo that we have a machine view that shows us this set of metadata that we can see on the screen here, and it also shows us this update view. In Advanced Insights, as you can see, you get a lot more data as well as these actions that we have across the top. So, for example, you can see here that there's these 2 updates which are still required on this machine. And so one of the things that I might want to do right now is just get this machine to install those updates. So I'm going to push that action to it now, and that machine, we're now communicating over the BGB channel. So if that machine was on the CMG, it would still get the instruction to attempt the installation of those updates, and I can come back and check on that in a bit. But you can see I also get a whole host of other information about this particular machine. So here's its disk configuration. Some of these are properties which we're adding, and some of these are ones that are just coming from Config Manager natively. So I'll see details about things like its, I haven't got a battery because it's a server, but those kinds of properties, network configuration. I'll see all of the applications that are installed on it, and all those other sort of properties we were looking at before. I can do things like modify its collection membership from here, so I could add this machine to a collection or remove it from an existing collection if it was in some static collections. I can see who uses it and what device affinity they've got, and any content that it's downloaded. I can see where it's getting that content from, and what the size of it was. So maybe I need to do some work around its boundaries or its distribution points or whatever else it might be. So there's a whole host of capability in here that you don't get in Patch Insights. And if I, while we're talking about that kind of thing, if I just find my machine, so I think mine's called that. So we have a global search here where you can search for a computer name, you can search for a username, a software update, a CVE, anything along those kinds of lines, and we'll just globally find it for you. So we just saw the Patch My PC actions there doing an installation of updates. One of the fun little things we've got is I can send a little message to the user of this particular machine, and again, this is going to use the BGB channel to drop a message to the to all of the interactive sessions that are on that particular device. So, not entirely sure how useful this is in the real world, but it is a nice demo. Oh, it's there you go. Yeah. So it gives us a little bit of a demonstration of how we can push stuff really quite rapidly over the communication channels that Configuration Manager has from right here in this interface. I could also initiate remote control from here, and I can also get it to do all the basic kind of policy and inventory actions. You can also see here that this machine is actually pending a reboot because it's installed some Windows updates. And so if I wanted to, I could also push a restart to this device from this interface. And one of the new things that we built into the version 2 release was the ability to carry out those actions against lists of computers as well. So you can see here's a list of all the machines that have sent in heartbeat data today. I could just go through and randomly pick a bunch of these, and then if I wanted to, I could have those machines do any of those actions. So if I wanted these devices to do a malware scan, for example, then it'll warn me that it's going to get those 4 machines to do that, and then it'll just go off and do it for me automatically. So that new functionality that we didn't have previously, you had to do them one at a time in the past, and so we've added that in too. check my list. Yeah, the only other couple of little things that I wanted to show that we've provided that are new in this version. These are now movable, so we wanted to get this out of the way so that you could view this data over here. Then you can drag that around, and we already saw, I think, this option that we've got where we'll allow you to view more data in these tables now, so you can extend that out if you so desire and see a bigger data set. So I will pause at that point and just see whether there were any further questions. And then we'll move on to onto our roadmap.
There was loads of questions, John. Everything. I want to show something. It wasn't part of what we was going to do, but I wanted to show people because a lot of people ask us, what's the difference between patch insights and advanced insights? So I'm just going to take over the screen a second, just to show. In patch insights, what we show you is your subscription level. So if it's Enterprise Plus or if you're on Enterprise Patch, that's what you get. If you was to upgrade to Enterprise Premium, for example, it is a simpler case as we update your license details in the back end. Once you've got, and once that's happened, we just do you validate your license, and then this changes to Enterprise Premium. So when I load my homepage, this will reload all of a sudden. I'm not had to install anything, and I am now at Advanced Insights. So when John was saying it shares the same code base, that's how easy it can switch over. A couple of people mentioned about co-management, John, as well. If they switch their workloads over from to WFB sort of thing, where the compliance data.
Yeah, so right now you will get the Microsoft updates view. So we saw where there was drivers and configuration items missing and that kind of thing. So you do get a view of where updates are required when your devices scan against Microsoft updates, but you don't get any of the other WSUS level compliance data right now because the machines don't report that back into Configuration Manager anymore. There is also I was just trying to find it, but I think Corey might be able to point us at it in a bit. But we have a link at the end of this deck for the landing page for Patch Insights, which has a comparison of the functionality available from Patch Insights and Advanced Insights.
I just put a link in the chat now. The link takes you directly to the comparison chart for Patch Insights features with Advanced Insight features. And this is specifically for the reporting and analytics of with Configuration Manager.
Thank you.
Someone just mentioned about HP warranty information. So currently HP, we've got all the back end stuff working for HP warranty, but there is no HP external API currently for us to hit.
Yeah, and we used to have HP API data, HP warranty data, and then HP took their warranty API offline probably 4 years ago now, I think, and are yet to return it. So so once they do, all of the plumbing is done. We're just waiting to have access to an API. Okay, I'm going to seize that back for now.
Yeah,
we will have a question session at the end, but I just wanted to make sure that we get through the agenda. So the final area that I wanted to cover off just quickly was a couple of things that we are going to be bringing in our next release. So as I mentioned earlier, we are actively developing Advanced Insights. We have a large development team that work full time on this product stack. So we are really interested in innovating and providing some new features. Almost everything that we build today is based off our user voice. So we have quite an active user voice area for Advanced Insights on ideas.patchmypc.com. And so we are building functionality out based on the top requests from that. And I will show you a couple of things that people have specifically requested, which we have built because they did so. So if I move over to here, apologies for it being in light mode, but I thought it would make it apparent to me that I'm in the right environment. So this is one of our dev environments. And there was just a couple of things I wanted to show you just quickly here. So the first thing was that I showed you how I could add and remove a device from a collection when I clicked on a device in its device view earlier on. Hang on, that pull's been torn down. Let me just refresh that. And so I've had the ability to add a device to an existing collection or remove a device from an existing collection for quite a while, since we first shipped Advanced Insights. But what we now provide you the ability, or will do in the next release, is the ability to do a bit more collection manipulation stuff. So here I'm looking at a list of computers. If I wanted to filter this and find only machines that Gavin has logged on to, so there we go, then I could tick these little ticks. And then under here, we have a new option, create new collection. And so what I could then do is I could say these are Gavin's machines. I could specify what the limiting collection is going to be, all systems. Then I could pick which collection which folder I wanted to store it in. And then basically when I go to add that, I can create a collection of devices from here. So it's a popular request to be able to create collections from here and provide that functionality which we didn't previously have, and so we've built that. But our number one request on user voice is Intune support, and I don't have that for you today. But our number two request on our user voice is for custom dashboards, and so I do have that capability. Now, this is beta code, as I mentioned, so it's not yet in the form that we will want to ship it in, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse into the sort of stuff that we're building right now. So what I can show you is that if I wanted to build my own dashboard view of the things from across Advanced Insights that I'm particularly interested in, then I can do that now. So if I wanted to say, for example, I care about the versions of the clients that we've got, and I care about my Windows 10 servicing information, I want the software updates compliance scan, and then maybe I just want computer compliance as well. Then some other bits and pieces of stuff. Let's have some information about malware that's been detected, and I'll have some other bits and bobs. Let's just find something else in here, an OS deployment bar chart, and one more thing just for fun. We'll have the battery information, for example. There we go. Then all I have to do is I give this a title, so webinar demo, and I'll type in please work, because when you type in please work, it always works. And then another thing is that you will be able to grant these to additional roles and to additional users. So if you create a dashboard that you think is super useful to your service desk, then you would be able to share that in essence with those guys, and then they would automatically see it in their interface. So if I save that and all is well in the world, then I click on my webinar demo, and then this should render that dashboard which I have just created. So you can see here that now I've got those things laid out. It's not looking too great, so I could then go back and I could edit that dashboard that I've just built to make some changes to it. So if I decide that I want the layout of it to be slightly different, maybe move the batteries down here and put the detected malware there and this kind of stuff, then I can play around with the layout of it and get it looking exactly how I want. And then when I go on and save that again, then obviously, as you'd expect, it'll then look a little different. These custom dashboards still obey everything that you might set for them. So I could still filter this against my all Lenovo devices or whatever other kind of collection that I have available in this demo environment, and I could also set some additional properties on each individual dashstat. So if I go back and edit this again, if I was interested in my computer compliance dashstat only showing me information from Windows 10 clients, then I can apply that filter at this level on that, and then when I render that, it'll look as you'd expect. And so one of the questions that I kind of expect to get from people when we demo this, and you're the first people in the world to see this apart from some of our internal team, is what would happen if you just added them all? And so I can do that. I can create myself an enormous dashboard of absolutely everything, and then the obvious question is, will that work? And so the answer to your question is, yeah, it will. And so you can actually, if you want one, you can have a dashboard of literally every component that we have in the Advanced Insights interface, and it will render all of them for you. You can then print this out and put it on your bedroom wall and feel really good about all those trees that you have wasted. So that's just a couple of things that we are building out right now for the next release of Advanced Insights. Like I say, in particular, there's been a thing about wanting the custom dashboard. Sorry, that looks like it's gone off the edge a little bit. Let me just adjust that. So custom dashboards has been a big ask for a long time for us here in the Advanced Insights team. So we've been very keen to try to provide that, and so that's something that's coming. And we have a whole bunch of other bits and bobs as well that we're building. But we've got some calls to action here. So just to reiterate where you can download the code from. If you're an existing premium customer, we're really interested in particular in what other features you might like to see us add to the Patch My PC Actions functionality. So where we give you the ability to run custom actions against remote devices. At the moment, we've got the ability to clear the CCM cache. We've got the ability to repair the client and install all available updates, but we're looking to add more value there. So our user voice ideas.patchmypc.com is the appropriate place to submit any thoughts you have on that. Just a little thing, if you're not currently a customer, then you can get a demo of not only the Advanced Insights stuff that we've shown you today, but also the rest of the Patch My PC product set, our publisher and catalog and cloud solutions, all available via schedule live demo there. And then if you're not currently a Patch My PC customer and are wondering what you've wandered into, one of the things that you could do as a next action is download our ROI tool. That's also created by my team. And that will run against your Config Manager or Intune environment and show you which applications are deployed in your environment that are supported by our catalog today that you could be updating automatically. Have you got anything, Kieran, on the Q&A front?
Just scanning through them now. See what's of interest. I think we covered most of them earlier. The elephant in the room is the roadmap integration for Intune. I can't remember if we spoke about that yet.
Yeah, so we are actively working on that. So it is a major development project for us here today. We don't have any date information for that as yet, but our ambition is that we will provide the same functionality as you saw in Patch Insights for customers who are managed by Config Manager or who are managed by Intune. We don't have that today. The data doesn't exist in Intune, and so we're having to create it. But that is our ambition for the kind of first version of that kind of software that will ship. And then ultimately, we would like to provide the same kind of functionality as we have for the full Advanced Insights stack, but obviously that's going to require a lot more work. So we are committed to providing functionality that is similar to that which you've seen today for customers who don't use Configuration Manager. And hopefully that covers that off.
Yeah, and there was a question about emailing reports. I believe that's on the dev board already. Looking into that.
So I've got nothing on that right now, but once we have completed the work on custom dashboards, my hope is that the next feature that the guys who are working on custom dashboards will move on to is emailed reports. It's a really common request, and I think we've spent enough time thinking about it. We should now get on and build some stuff. So watch this space, but I expect that we will have something on scheduled email reports in well, I don't know, sometime in the next few months, certainly. And then I saw some other stuff. Does an update from 2.03 to 2.11 require a reboot? It does not. can you do multiple objects of the same type to different collections of custom dashboards? So, funny enough, actually, I was going to demo that, and we've just broken it. So, yes, the answer is you will be able to have. So, for the demo was supposed to be having multiple trends, and so we will have that functionality. A change that we made very, very recently has actually broken that in our dev, so we can't demo that today, but we will have that functionality. Yeah. Do users accessing Advanced Insights have the ability to see when the information within Advanced Insights was last synced? Thanks for that, Alexander. There's no such thing as sync. So the data that you see in Advanced Insights is live. So there shouldn't be any any need to, I see that. Thank you, Justin and George, you've already answered that. Custom Dashboards is coming in the next release, which will be soonish. So certainly weeks, no longer than that. There's a question about being notified about new versions of Advanced Insights. That's something which we know that we are lacking. So we are building notifications into the console. So admins will get notification that there is a new version of Advanced Insights available. We don't have that today, so we're still relying on mail shots from the marketing department to let people know when there are major releases. We are working hard on improving that. So you will eventually get notification in console. Keith asked about auto upgrade, and I'd really like to. We have some challenges because of the way that the architecture is built. For now, it's not something that we can do. Longer term, it's something that we're interested in, but it is non-trivial, unfortunately. Donna asked about when you use a fast channel to push updates, and I think George has answered that. But yeah, we talk to the config manager client, so it will just adhere to whatever you've told the client policy it should be. Yeah, I think the rest of these look like they've been answered. So
most of them be answered. So the actions that we do, they work over the BGP channel as well. I think that got asked a couple of times in the chat as well. Custom actions.
Right. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So I think can we put it behind Okta? Not unless you can put that behind Azure AD Auth. We will look at it because people have asked a few times, and we do want to make some changes to the way that Auth works. But right now we're not there. David, excellent to hear that you've managed to upgrade while we've been on the call, and it's quicker. That's what we like to hear. Some of the SQL stuff that the team have been able to do has been absolutely mind blowing. It is hardcore. We have an environment here that we can scale to whatever size we need it to be, and so we've been testing against 100,000 plus client databases, and it's night and day different when it comes to operating at scale. Yeah, that's a fair question, Aaron. So we know that we are currently missing those properties and doc information, in fact. So we've been gathering a little bit of doc data from some of our early adopter customers so that we can make sure that we do a decent job of rendering that. And we've just added Wi-Fi interface inventory in, and so that will be coming in to the next release. We need to put the cart before the horse with that a little bit, in order to make sure that the data that exists out in the customer environments is in the format that we expect it to be, because we have had some problems in the past where people have unusual manufacturers or like configuration that we're not expecting, and then the dashboards don't render. So we are working on that, and they will be in the next release. The question about branding is a good one. So we used to have the ability to change the logo in it, and then that broke when we introduced dark mode, and we just haven't got around to fixing that yet. But it is on somebody's list here to put swapping the logo out back in. And we knew that somebody would ask about putting your own logo in the notification option, which is I can see some of our dev guys smiling and nodding. We have some thoughts on that. And so the first version of it the notification functionality is what you see. But we do like the idea of being able to allow you to brand that up, because we feel like that would be the right thing to do. And so I know that the Intune guys, when they've been talking about our custom apps functionality and our coming cloud update functionality, have been working on how they can do branding of the notification that we give around conflicting processes and those kinds of things. So I think we're going to piggyback off the back of some of that kind of stuff. So we are thinking about it, and it's a fair question. I think, Osiris,
Right.
I'm good to see you here, Osiris. Thanks for joining us. But I think we've covered the HP stuff. So there is no public HP warranty API that we can access currently, and we have tried very hard to get access to their new beta API, their enterprise API, or any API that they might have. And right now we don't. We don't have any news on that. I've got nothing to share. I'd really like to have HP warranty data back. We used to have it, and it was great. But otherwise, I'm really grateful for all of you taking the time. It was great to see so many of you here. I hope that was useful. And by all means, get in touch if there's anything that we can help you with.
Yeah, we're at lots of conferences coming up soon as well, so you can reach us out face to face. So I'll be at Paris in 2 weeks' time at Endpoint Management event. We'll be at MMS in Minnesota, so you can reach out to us there if you're attending there as well.
Well, thanks again, everyone. We appreciate everyone joining us for the Advanced Insights version 2 and Patch Insights webinar. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.